Hi, I'm Frank Tybush. I'm a filmmaker and I'm interested in history. Work brought me to Fells Point, a historic district in Baltimore, Maryland. It's one of the oldest communities in the country, and all around you see history being preserved and history dying. That got me thinking, how do people save history at risk? Welcome to the second episode of History at Risk. It's the Halloween season, and I'm going to take the authentic Fells Point Ghost Walk. Then I'm going to ask if ghost walks are a good portal into history. See you then. We're at the Fells Point Visitor Center and we're about to take a ghost tour. Let's go on inside. Hi.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing fabulous.
Excellent. Would you be able to introduce yourself?
My professional name is April Inlows Smith, but for this ghost tour, I go by Bridget McGowan.
And why do you go by a different name for the ghost tour?
Well, my real name, doesn't translate very well for 200 years ago. Also, the name Bridget McGowan has a more ethnic flavor, and this was a very ethnic neighborhood, particularly Irish.
And how long has this ghost walk been going on?
About 12 years.
12 years? And why a ghost tour?
I think a ghost tour appeals to people because it's in touch with the past, but it's a fun way to get in touch with the past. They can learn something at the same time, be a little scared, and it's our tour, of course, is very family oriented. We don't scare you too much, but it's quite popular.
Excellent. Now, paranormal interest is on the rise. There's lots of TV shows. It seems like books and all that. There's just exploding. Have you noticed that with the ghost tours?
Yes, I think actually many people are much more interested in their past now, probably because of an uncertain future. And they're discovering that the past can be entertaining, particularly in a ghost tour. And that's one of the reasons why we started the ghost tour, because it does bring to life history, which is part of all of us.
Excellent. One last question.
Okay.
Have you seen a ghost?
I haven't seen one, but I've heard one.
Interesting. All right, maybe we'll see one tonight. Okay. So, thank you very much. We're going to go on the tour now.
Welcome to the authentic Fells Point Ghost Walk. Since it's rather a chilly night, we're very fortunate that there aren't nearly as many live people. I try to avoid them as much as possible. So we're going to venture forth down here and go into a sally port. Do you know that Edgar Allan Poe did hang around in Fells Point, and for all we know, he may have frequented this particular bar because it is the oldest continuous bar in Baltimore. The part that we're in right now was called the Anchorage. It was a home for old sailors. It was sometimes called the Dog House because sailors were called salty dogs. And another little indication that maybe they didn't smell nice either. All right, so here we are in the home. Streets, even Baltimoreans call these things cobblestones. They are not cobblestones. Cobblestones are round. These are square. These are called Belgian blocks. And they were invented by the Belgians, who learned how to cut them into these brick shapes and make them easily stackable, because indeed these were stacked in the holds of ships. The story behind this actually came out. This we know as Broadway, but originally it was called Market Street. There's still a market up there. But this area right here was given to people of Baltimore by the Fell family, as long as it's used for commerce. And in fact, if you look at the granite here, you will see numbers. And these are the stall numbers where you would put your, whatever you were selling, your little table, your little tent up here on market day. Here we are at one of the oldest houses in Fells Point. It was built in 1765 by Robert Long. Robert Long, like everybody in Fells Point, had his a finger in the shipbuilding industry, but his main work was manufacturing bricks. We have these stars that you can see frequently on many, many buildings. There's a rod that goes through the floorboards of these stars. There's also these little S shapes, you'll see them too, and sometimes diamond shapes. But it pulls the brick in and keeps it from bulging out anymore. It says Fell family. Actually, not that long ago, it used to say Bond family. You got to wonder who was surviving at the time. We don't know exactly if everyone is buried here. People were buried on top of each other. I'm quite certain it wasn't covered with concrete back then, and it certainly didn't have that brick wall. But this is supposed to be pretty much where the Fell family wanted to be buried. You know that a lady named Emily, her ghost. Put your hand here and blow. And that's the end of the tour.
Thank you very much for the ghost tour. It was lovely. It was very nice. Unfortunately, you didn't get to see some of the ghost tour because the actual ghost stories are copyrighted, but I encourage everybody to come down here and take the tour because it's well worth it. You weren't kidding about the history.
Oh, yes.
I mean, that was extremely informative. How long did it take you to memorize all that?
Well, the neat thing about doing a tour is you have all these sort of site prompts everywhere, and I like history anyway, and all the tours, the tour guides for the Fells Point Preservation Society take a 6-week course in Fells Point history given by Jack Trotline, which is excellent and fascinating.
Excellent. And so that's really your whole tour is based on the history.
Yes, yes.
And you're really...
With a couple of ghosts thrown in.
Ghosts thrown in, and they were quite spooky tales.
Yes.
And I have to commend you because you talked so much about like bricks and you knew the names of everything. It was, oof, I can't even imagine.
Well, it helps when you're born here.
So, I think that's about it.
Okay.
But I'm going to encourage really, truly everybody to come down here. You got to take this tour. It's worth it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I started this episode off by asking if ghost tours were a good portal into history. They are. I mean, it's a great way of capturing people's attention and teaching them something that they wouldn't normally know. I learned more about Fells Point than I did through most of the things I've been down here. And that's really the case with ghost tours I've taken. Just after Halloween now, pretty soon it's going to be Thanksgiving, and a couple days after Thanksgiving, Fells Point celebrates Christmas in a very interesting way. Next episode, I'll show you how. See you then. Now I'm going to go get warm because it's cold out here.